I am feeling so happy because just think about all of the like dark v light. It's not dark v light, yeah, it's all light. And because we've been in 3D, the principles of like quantum physics and manifestation and ascension have just been placed in a three-dimensional paradigm. So all of like the elite mainstream stories of power, they're all just creator figuring out they were creator, but in 3D. In 3D. And 3D was obviously highlighting the lack of love and service to self. So it's not like, oh, they knew and they were trying to keep us back from it. No, they knew, but they were also like contained within a third dimensional paradigm, which was service to self. So think about in like stages that everyone will know this. It's just that it depends on what time you chose to awaken to it, and that some people volunteered to have their moment, but in 3D. Like they were the 3D awakened people. So in terms of like thinking about Hollywood and all this like negativity, just be like, well, they had their moment. They had their I am source God. I can create wherever I want. I can manifest. I can have power and control of my reality. You know, it's that. It's of my reality. It's not like, oh, of others necessarily. It's of reality. And the other people weren't practicing those um, skills, let's say, or awareness because they chose to wake up in 4D. So now anchor your compassion, anchor your like love, unconditional love, to be like, oh wow, they realise, that's so cool. I'm so grateful, because obviously even if you just look at powerful people that are in 3D that are service to self, you do learn. You're like, well, I saw what they done. I could do that. I could visualise. I could write the checks in my bank account. I can believe. I can do everything they've said. However, they were contained, and I want to say trapped, but they were contained with free will choice and a soul contract to have their glorious creator realization in 3D. They carry on going up to 60 until 60, then it becomes a merge of the higher self instantaneously, then their service to others. So, although they're going to continue, perhaps, I'm just saying perhaps, on that soul choice of service to self through 3D, 4, and 5 up to 6, we still learn from that because it's the same truth. It's the same truth. Realizing that you have infinite power within you to manifest the reality, and instead of it like seeming like it was controlling of others, instead you're like, it's inclusive of others. They included me in their manifestation. They included me to know that it was powerful, that they could be powerful. They included me in realizing they could have global impact. Yeah. They're you, they're an aspect of you. If you had chosen to wake up in 3D to the art of manifestation and your source creator self, then you would have been them. But instead, you can be like, oh, I didn't. I chose to wake up and serve others. This is amazing. I chose to wake up on the light side, on the higher optic of the light side, rather than the lower density of 3D. It's brilliant. Okay, so when you're looking at them now, open your neutral perspective to be like, well, I didn't choose to wake up then. But that every single person will have that experience if they reflect on other people that are powerful and then implement those techniques for themselves at whichever stage they want. So instead of feeling any form of oppression or denial or secretiveness, it's almost like, well, we know the art of manifestation, but people aren't necessarily following us. Well, that's up to them. So like celebrities or like powerful, let's say political people, you could be like, well, they're not following me, so they're not learning. I'm not forcing it down their neck, just like we're not forcing down their neck. But then you can kind of look at 3D and be like, oh, maybe it was forced down my neck to feel lower, to feel lack of love because I wasn't them. But also, how did they even get to power? They got to power because you did look up to them at some point. You did think, oh, they know more than me. And it's almost like you look at it and you go, it's not like an ignorance or a neutral or a controlling and oppressive state. You can just say, I wasn't yet accessing my innate truth of wanting to feel worthy. I wasn't. And that's what 3D is for. It's for experimenting with lack of love. But at one point, you're going to go, I'm better than that. I'm better singing than that. I've got better views than that. They shouldn't be running the country. But until you get to that breakthrough point of being like, I know good stuff and I'm here to help and I'm worthy, you can't blame them. So there's no blaming it. You can look at them and go, if they done it, even on a physical thing, if they done it, if they studied hard and became that, and he's like, oh well, they had money and fingers in pocket, fingers in pies and stuff. But you can be like, but what's the underlying message that they believed in themselves, that they wanted to take up that position? So until you want to take up that position, there's no blame, shame, guilt or fear around other people doing it. You can like feel inspired and empowered by them doing it. To be like, wow, they're proving to me that if someone like cares enough and thinks they're worthy enough, they can be in power. It doesn't mean you have to align to the methods of power which they used, because that was 3D, but it doesn't mean that anyway. It just means that they're highlighting that whoever you are, even if you don't necessarily provide an unconditionally loving leadership role, that you can actually be a leader. So therefore, instead of thinking of like, oh, the system's holding me back, it's held me back or anything like that, instead be like, well, no, they're proving that anyone can be a leader, especially if you've got like negative controlling projections. Therefore, loving projections can also get there if you think you're worthy. And the only reason you haven't stepped into that leadership role yet is because you perceive that you're not worthy from them projecting that their confidence is something that you can't have. But it's not. It's not. It's just that association with leadership being negative holds you back from believing that leadership could be really positive. And then that's your journey to step into. And that's why you're a 4D manifesting awakener. That's why you've chosen to awaken then, not then, because your energetic didn't vibrate or wanting to be a leader in that paradigm. So of course you didn't want to be a leader. I didn't want to be a leader like, oh, fighting Hollywood or being in Hollywood in that rhetoric. So it's like, cool, you have that. I'm happy for you. You figured it out. You've taught me what all of it represents, but then I shift my values. Okay, so it's also not that there was any oppression. You know, you can talk about it till the cows come home. Oh yeah, but this. They could have done more. Well, they couldn't have, because it was 3D. They couldn't have done anything more. And we can say they could have, but it's like, well, we aligned to low self-worth, yes, from generational programming, of course, but generational programming also can is the journey of 3D, which you came for, because then you learn what you're not. You want to understand what you're not through the projections that others offer you. So then you're grateful to them to go, yeah, I don't really align to allowing world starvation and hunger while we eat, as well as us being given terrible food anyway. I don't really align to that anymore. Yeah. So they're offering you a projection for you to evolve from, but also highlighting that you're happy for them, that they took up that role, because that wasn't your role, but also that they weren't even intentionally trying to take up that role. They were just stepping into their creator, manifesting awareness, and they were in 3D whilst doing that. If you, and I want to say it like openly, perhaps if you had stepped onto your awakened journey 20 years ago, you also might have been included in that 3D paradigm until 2012 when the energy shifted. So it's almost like, oh, I'm really grateful and I feel compassion for them that they actually woke into their creator state in 3D, meaning that they could be on a trajectory through 4, 5, up to 6 of still practicing that art of the ultimate truths, but through service to self. So think yourself lucky, be like, good, I'm glad I didn't wake up then, I'm glad I woke up now. When the energies change, when I'm actually in the shift to the higher vibratory light, to anchor my creator status within that trajectory of service to others, which includes yourself. So it's like really opened up on so much compassion. It's just like the shifts of like 7/7 portal and the past 2 weeks, it's just been, it's neutral. It's all about neutral. There's you can argue till the cows come home about what's right and wrong, but the fact that you could ever take a neutral position to say I understand the whys, the fact that you can ever be neutral and take your emotions out of it and be a neutral standpoint, like a parent between two children that are arguing, say she took what was mine, and you're like, well, it wasn't actually yours, or something like that. Then the fact that you can ever remain neutral allows you to have the perspective, especially if you know about ascension, especially if you know about the time periods of the energies, then you can observe it and be like, oh, I'm happy for them that they realised they were creator. They literally proved to the whole of humanity they're creator. They proved the power that certain people can maintain through a vibratory and a frequency match. But we are not the match for that anymore. We're the match for service to others. So yeah, look at it all differently. Just be like, cool, mate. But the fact that they've said their secrets and put it out there, instead of thinking like, oh, but they didn't actually teach it in schools and stuff, it's like, it's not for that. If you start oppressing people and telling them how to manifest, you're taking away their free choice. of ultimately wanting to discover that for themselves, because they realize there's an issue within society or within themselves that they don't want to perceive anymore. If you force someone to learn to manifest, force someone to be a creator, it does not mean they're going to have a service to others, an infinite, unconditionally loving state. It means that they would have learnt through oppressive educational structures, meaning that they ultimately would not have the innate heart opening that one needs to have to align to the higher frequencies of a service to others path. And then you can obviously look at the education system and say, oh well, we were taught to manifest, but in a physical sense. We were taught that. We were taught to get a job, and then if you get an education, then you can get a job, and then you can get money. So we were taught a physical perspective of manifestation. Fair enough. And it was given in a open free will thing. You don't have to go to school, but in terms of then when you indoctrinate yourself into someone else's thought stream, you then can't blame them for programming you. You freely chose to enter into it. You freely chose that. And yes, we can say the ignorance of the whole thing of forcing children to go to school so that their parents could work, and that the parents were taught to only get money through physicality, therefore they had to put the child into education so they could have time to go to work. And then the child obviously has learnt the same things because the parents believe it. Fine, we get it. But that's because it was from a physical perspective. Yeah, it was from a physical perspective. So yes, there was oppression in some respect, if you want to say energetic information was withheld and not able to be implemented in mainstream context. However, it was always a free will choice. You've got to realise, even if you say, well, if I don't work, I won't have any money to live. Well, it's like, well, then it's a free will choice to live. It's a free will choice to live. It's a free will choice to go to work and aspire to have other things. You could easily be a monk and say, I don't want any money. I don't need any money. I understand what I need. I need some water, this, that, and the other. And I'm going to live in go to another country where there's no bother with how much money I need to have. It was always free will choice, always. So then the free will choice to be indoctrinated into a fear-based structure of a physical experience only, therefore time equals money to get money to go have an education to go to work, is like, yeah, that was one aspect for you to learn through. It was a free will choice. It wasn't an oppressive structure. However, if you really want to learn, then that is an amazing formula for highlighting all of the things that you're now going to learn through actually realizing that didn't feel like a free will choice at the time. You freely went, your parents freely put you in there, but it didn't actually on a higher conscious level, it didn't actually feel like it was free. It felt like it was conducive to maintain the system that they were indoctrinated into in terms of physical manifestation through time and energy equals money. Yeah. So then you are given the platform to awaken from that because of that. Freedom's always there, but it's like watered down, just expand it until you get the opportunity to go, that doesn't feel like ultimate freedom actually. If I wanted to go to school and be educated by specific things, was there a choice in it? Was my parents given a choice to not have that and still have money? And if there wasn't, then you start experimenting with, well, then that's not freedom. It's not ultimate freedom. It's definitely some form of freedom because your parents had the choice to put you in. They had the choice to what they want to give you. They had the choice. You had the choice to perform within it. And yes, obviously children don't theoretically cognize that they have a choice. And yes, you can see that as the oppressive structure. But we're all children and we were all within that paradigm. But the point is that your parents can then realize, no, I didn't feel free to have a choice then. I didn't feel it. I didn't think I did. I didn't think I was. And then you as the child or the children now, they're being raised by people that realize that it doesn't matter if you don't, if you think you don't have a choice. It matters if you can engage with it and go, well, if I don't think I've got a choice, but there must be free will. There must be other choices. If I don't think I have a choice, then it's highlighting that for me to then take an action step in it and actively participate in it, to then realise that I want to live in society where I do feel like I've got a choice. And then you realise that that's the path of ascension. You're like, oh, thanks for not taking away my amazing journey where I came to conclusions for myself, where I figured it out for myself, only from comparing and reflecting on the experience of reality that I was being given that didn't feel inclusive of all freedoms for all beings. So you're grateful for that. So you say, oh God, was this set up that way so that I can have this amazing journey to realise that and strive towards true freedom for all? Yes. but not controlled and set up and designed by humans that knew of the secret, that knew of how to manifest, and they wanted to control you. It was from a higher place than that. It was for humans' psyche, for the human to evolve from the very moment they began all the way here, constantly through waves of oppression, submission, and then freedom, freedom, and it just gets higher and higher. But it's all to give you the experience of waking up to your own innate truth of limitless freedom of choice. Always. Therefore, you have a choice to feel like people have oppressed you. You have a choice to feel like they were wrong to do that. You have a choice for that. But it's almost like someone judging me and going, well, why didn't you tell me? It's like, well, I tried to. You weren't listening. So maybe these Hollywood's like, well, I've just shown you how I got here. You've watched me get here. I've told you my sob story the whole time. I've told you it all. You watched me. I said to you anyone could do this. But you weren't able to activate it because you weren't hearing it in the way that I was saying it. You were hearing, I've done this, you're watching me, good luck with that, go on with your day now. But then you got to dig deeper at some of the things that are being said, and it's like every single thing is literally like seed, gold dust of this breadcrumb trail to your own innate truth. But it's a sovereign truth. It's your moment, every moment, to come to those epiphanies. That's why you've got to activate a curious mind. That's why you've got to be learner-led, self-development, It's you finding the gold in the smallest moments. It's you picking out the synchronicities in films that you've seen and going, God, that means like 10 different things in one thing, like the subtext, the freaking subtext. It's all about the subtext. And then that just relieves all of the blame and shame. It's just that if you weren't able to hear it right then, this is your moment to hear it. And you're happy about that because you didn't want to, maybe you don't want to be aligned to 3D, as in, oh, I was so 3D and I was rich in 3D. You want to be rich in 4D and be sharing and redistributing the wealth, manifesting millions, passing it on, leaving your legacy of unconditional love rather than that. Do you want to have the legacy of, and you can obviously look at it in a good way, of Hollywood, if they woke everyone up because they were doing such dark stuff and the world woke up, cool, like it's neutral, it doesn't matter, but it's not your storyline. It's not yours. So you don't have to reflect on it like it's got this massive thing on you. It hasn't. It was amazing. You watch people rise up. Fine, you can say they rose up because they were taking from others, but you're not going to do that. They showed you what you don't want to do. They showed you what you don't want to be. They showed you what 3D is. They laid it out on a plate. Thank you very much for showing me. Thanks for signing the contract because that feels so dark and heavy. I feel compassion for you that you got to live with that. But I'm really glad because the path literally is the same path wherever you're sat from. God's still looking, going, you realised. And you helped everyone else realise. It's a complete co-creation. It's like you don't get annoyed with the fox for killing the berries when he eats the berries. No, he eats the berries, then he goes and poos it out somewhere else and the berries can grow. It's all that mycelium-based truth of everything. So I really hope that that's helped you today. Just like sit with it and just be like, it's quite bigger than I thought. It's not like they're wrong and I'm right. It's like, well, everyone's helping everyone, and you should just feel compassion that you don't have to be that one because you haven't chosen that one. You chose to incarnate now, to have your awakening, ascension. I must create a moment now, and everyone else is going to have that at some point, but this is your moment. They had their moment in 3D. You got your moment in 4D. This is your moment. This is your moment. You're happy you didn't wake up then. Good you're not a millionaire then. You would have been into some dark shit, bruv. Good you're not doing that. Good you're in the light now. Good you're awakening now. Good you're not a millionaire. Good you're not a millionaire. You don't want that money. You want this money. You want channeled money. New light money. Redistributing. You want this holy money that's as awakened as possible. But so were they. They were as awakened as possible. The most awakened people on the planet, those people. The most awakened people on the planet. The most awakened people on the planet in terms of manifesting. Through physicality, through energy. Because physical stuff is energy. They're pulling in stuff. Money's beautiful. Physical stuff is beautiful because physical doesn't represent physical. It represents vibrationary match of energy in the universe. Quantum physics. So you say, wow, they taught us that it works. How can someone be that powerful? What the hell? The music's not even that good. What's going on? It's not about that. You can do anything you want as long as you're loving it, as long as you're realising you're a creator. But the fact is that now we're not in 3D. It doesn't support that anymore. It only supports people that are in vibratory match to help the all. Did that help the all? In some respect, it helped the all in 3D to wake up to more low self-worth, to more experiment with lack of love. They helped the all. That's why it came to them. They took up that position to say, I'm going to help the all by serving myself. I'm going to take from the all to serve myself. I'm going to look like I'm really successful and make them question themselves. Make them say, God, I'm so unworthy. I haven't got nothing. I'm just going to buy all their products and try and be like them and feel like shit because I'm not, and all that kind of stuff. Thank you for doing that. But now, the art of manifesting, the energy does not support that. If you're in your ascension, the energy does not support that. Either you're still staying 3D and they're getting wealthier and wealthier, you're getting poorer and poorer, and you're getting worse and worse in your low self-worth and your low love. Or you're stepping through and you're saying, thank you, now I understand. You got that then because the energy supported you, but the energy is not that now. So it's not supporting that. So even if you thought, oh, I'm just going to do what they do and be a prick to everyone, it doesn't support that anymore. We've moved, huh? You've got to move on. It's either or. You're either going to be maintaining that, them already figured it out, then be the hierarchy, or no hierarchy. Everyone equal. The hierarchy is everyone a king, everyone a queen. That's how you're going to attract it now, because the fact is, believing that, if you can perceive that even one person became a billionaire, then you can perceive that everyone has that potential, because it's not about what they've done. It was about the passion. It was about the reason. It was about how much they loved themselves, how much they believed in themselves, how much they understood they were a creator. And then energy wants to serve that because it's for the good of all in the paradigm which it is in. And the paradigm which it's in now, the dimension it's in now, is service to others. So everything is going to come in for every single person that thinks that. Because that wasn't for that. That was for separation. That was for duality. You're rich, I'm poor. This is not for this. This is not for this. This is completely different. This is for the whole thing. Equality. Equality in hierarchy is in everyone leader, because they realize they're all co-creators. They're the creator, an aspect of source God, source energy. Loves it. Peace.